Well, I'm here to get any questions from you guys about anything. So today I'm asking you one question. For the PTE speaking, there is a section called the describe image. My question to you is, should you be analyzing the image or should you be describing the image? Well, I'm going to be talking about that and a whole lot more in today's tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial video, and today I'll be talking about the describe image part of the PTE speaking examination. Now, what am I going to be going over today? First off, you would need to know how PTE is actually scoring you for this exam. So I'm going to go over the scoring guide. The next thing I will do is to talk about the different types of images that you would most likely encounter for this exam. And then lastly, I'll do what I usually like to do in my videos and solve some of these questions by using a certain template that I actually already pre-prepared for answering such questions. Now, for the strategy that I will show you, it has been tested and proven that this strategy and format actually works, not just by only me, but by all of the students that I have actually taught. They all got very high scores for the PTE, from the 79 to the 90 range for the PTE speaking. So let's get straight into things. Now, the first thing that I'm talking about today is the scoring. Why am I talking about the scoring and the score guide from PTE? It is because when you know what you're being scored for, you would know exactly how to prepare for an exam. And in this particular exam, you are being scored for your enabling skills and your communication skill. So your communication skill is your speaking. In order for you to communicate, you need these enabling skills. For this particular part, the describe image, you actually need 4 enabling skills, and those are grammar, vocabulary, oral fluency, and pronunciation. Now, let's go to the scoring. For the scoring part, you are being scored for 3 things, and that's your content, your oral fluency, and pronunciation. So for the content, it consists of the grammar that you would use and the vocabulary, which are the words that you put in together to make your grammar. Why is the vocabulary important for this part? Because for the first time since, all the other questions that you have tackled, probably from read aloud to repeat sentence, the describe image is actually the first time you would actually be using your own grammar and not the grammar that was written for you to read out, or the grammar that was already said by the computer and you had to repeat it. This is your own personal grammar that you have to create. So it is important that these sentences that you make and the grammar that you speak are quite on point. And this is why you need a lot of vocabularies in your locker as well. And I'll show you how to use this vocabulary. Now, when it comes to the system of marking, for your content, you will be scored 5 marks. And for your oral fluency and pronunciation, 5 marks as well. Now, how many questions are you going to encounter? About 6 or 7 questions. So we will be going over the types of images that you would actually encounter that you will have to describe in this exam shortly. All right, so let's identify some images. But before we do, I'd like you to know that it is important that you try to identify whatever type of image that you're looking at, because the software has been programmed to actually look out for some certain keywords. And when you mention the type of picture that you're looking at or the type of image that you're looking at, the software would register that you're actually talking about what you are seeing. So it is very good. Plus, it also helps your vocabulary as well when you're mentioning the different types of images that you are seeing. So without further ado, let's identify the type. So the first type of image that we're identifying today would be the pie chart. It is called the pie chart because it looks like a pie. I mean, it's circular and it has pieces of slices like a pizza, more or less. But you can't call it a pizza image because that's not what it's called. It's called a pie chart. So yeah, that's that about that. You can see what it looks like. Looks like a pie. It's called a pie chart. Easy. The next type of image I'm talking about now is a bar graph. This is a graph that has an x-axis and a y-axis. So the data that is on top of it is represented by bars. You can easily see this, you know what it is. When you're describing, just say the bar chart, blah, blah, blah. All right, and it can come as a horizontal form like this or a vertical form like this. The next type of image I'm talking about right now is the line graph. Now with the line graph, it's used to show trends. So you usually see a graph that has an x-axis and a y-axis, and instead of bars on top of it, you just see a line or sets of lines representing different trends for different stuff. For instance, maybe oil pricing or rates at which burgers are selling and, you know, things like that, or fashion trends as well. So it represents different trends. The next type of image that you may encounter would be a pictorial image. Now, the thing about the picture image is that it could be a picture of anything. It could be a picture of the Senate. It could be a picture of children running in the streets. It could be a picture of tall buildings and, you know, ultra-modern buildings and old school or village huts. And you may be asked to, like, you know, you describe and you just tell the difference between the two, things like that. So it could be the picture of events that are merging together and being linked, or, you know, picture of different elements. But just know that it's a pictorial image and it's a picture of anything. Another type of image that you may encounter would be a Venn diagram. Now, a Venn diagram is used to correlate data in mathematics or logical events that are happening. So there might be similarities or differences, and you want to correlate that data. For instance, some people go to work by bus, and then there are some people that go to work by train. And then there are some people that actually go to work either by bus or by train. So a Venn diagram is usually represented in a circular format, or sometimes used with brackets together. But the one I'm showing you right now is in a circular format. So they're not going to bring out any complicated thing that you would face in mathematics. It's going to be more of the logic side of things, like the one you're seeing right here. The next type of image that I want to talk about is an extension of like a pictorial image. It's a linear process. It's called a linear process because in a linear process, you have a start and an end point. So it's a start point of an event or a process to an end point of a process. Well, finally, the last image that I'm talking about today is the cyclic image. Now, the cyclic image represents a process that is like continuous. It's usually like a life cycle. It's an endless repetition of the same event over and over again. For instance, in this one that I'm showing you, it's the life cycle of a frog. So just as it said, life cycle. It's a cyclic process. So it is good when you see these images to call them what they are, and that would actually help you score a lot of marks. Now is the time that we get to solve some of these questions, and before we do that, I'm going to have to talk about some pointers and give you some notes on how to prepare and what to look out for when you are actually performing this task in the exam. So the first thing that you need to think about is, are you analyzing or are you describing? Now, a lot of students makes the big mistake of trying to analyze the question. And so this makes them talk too much because they feel like they have to be accurate and talk a lot. The problem with this is that while you're trying to figure out what's accurate and what's not, 40 seconds is done. It's not that long. So try not to analyze. Focus more on describing. Focus more on your enabling skills that I mentioned earlier. So that's my first pointer. My second pointer today is that you need to try to target a range for speaking. My ideal range would be 28 to 35 seconds, because when you talk, less than 28 seconds for each question, it shows that you are not speaking enough English. But once you go beyond 28 seconds, I think your oral fluency will be on point. And so, if you also work on your pronunciation, you're scoring more marks for that. So just stick to that ideal time. The third pointer that I want to touch on is that if you're actually making your sentences, it doesn't matter if you had only made 2 sentences and you were on your third sentence. Now, if the time is almost up, make sure that you complete your last sentence, and don't try to even conclude. What would happen is that once you stop, the computer is going to analyze and assume that your third sentence is your conclusion. There is no specific way that the software can actually determine whether you concluded or not. It just takes your last sentence as your conclusion. This is why when you are describing, you can conclude with anything that you like. Now, my next pointer will be about your introduction. Now, for the introduction, try as much as possible to identify the image that you're looking at, the type of the image that you're looking at. When you identify it, it actually activates the software to let that software know that you are actually speaking about what you are looking at. Okay, so the last thing I want to say, or the last point I want to give you, is that you only need 4 sentences, just 4. 4 sentences is great. Once you can describe that image in 4 sentences, you are okay. And for this reason, I actually devised my template to be, 4 to 5 sentences. You actually only need 4, to be honest. But for the purpose of learning, I'll be giving you 5 sentences. So, what I have in front of me right now is the pie chart image, and I am going to solve it with my model answer straight off the bat. So my model answer, and always remember to record yourself so you can time yourself as well. So my model answer is as follows. This pie chart shows where people get the news from. From the image, it can be seen that nearly half of the community get their news from the TV. It can also be seen that over a third of the people read the news from the newspaper. Another thing that can be spotted is that about 15% of the people receive the news from the internet. Lastly, a few people find the news from sources not specified. If you take a look at the model answer, I've colored the vocabularies that relate with each other in the same colors. Just a quick mention. So the word shows, seen, spotted, all these 3 words are signifying the same thing, which is sight. So that's a good sign of, or a good show of vocabulary. Now on the flip side, or on the other side, the word get, read, receive, as well as find. All these words are vocabularies that are qualifying the word news. So I said get the news in one of the sentences. In another of the sentences, I said read the news. In another of the sentences, I said receive the news. And lastly, in the last one, I said find the news. So basically, I was looking for more and more vocabularies to signify the news. Okay, you guys, so that's all I have for you for today. I'm so sorry I couldn't do more questions, or I couldn't attempt more questions for today's video, but be rest assured, in the next video, I am going to be answering all sorts of images, and I'm telling you all sorts of images just to show you that you can actually describe any form of image you see, PTE or otherwise, in just 4 sentences. Now, if you have your own template or you built your own templates, you could actually leave it in the comment section below. What's your own template? What's your system? Let me know about that. And if you have any questions for me as well, leave it in the comment section below. Now, if you like my videos, don't forget to smash that like button, and as well, subscribe to my channel and ding that bell for more notification. And thank you so much, guys, for watching and everything. And definitely, until the next video, please keep learning, stay blessed, and be terrific.